happened to look up into the nighttime skies over the weekend? Did you see anything strange? Many of our viewers did. Some even caught the glowing orbs on tape.
Glowing orbs flowing high in the air.
Thousands of people saw these 4 mysterious lights in the sky outside Phoenix Monday night.
It's a UFO.
The United States Air Force said it could not identify them. Air traffic controllers from 2 different airports say they saw the lights, but they definitely were not from any of their airplanes.
Above the skies of Northeast and East El Paso tonight, a sight that was a little more than stunning. This is what one of our photographers, Ram Moreno, caught on video. One solitary light that appears to be falling in the sky. But that light suddenly breaks apart into 2, then 3 separate lights. Those lights then just freeze in the air and begin to hover.
This is the weird, unsettling sight Paul, a longtime pilot, captured on tape. Mysterious red lights in a diagonal formation just hovering above his yard in Whippany.
Strange lights over the skies of San Diego.
Strange lights over Lake Erie.
Over Phoenix, Arizona.
A group of unidentified flying objects in the sky over Manhattan.
UFOs were kind of flying over Chicago.
This is just a great mystery. What is this in the East Texas sky?
The same orbs have been spotted in London, Mexico, Canada, California, and Texas.
So this is something that's in the sky that people do not know what it is.
On 7 News at 5:30, a strange sighting above Boulder County a week ago. 3 lights in the night sky. The folks who saw them are asking,
what the fuck?
What the hell is that?
What in the world is this?
I have no idea what the hell that is. And I'm about to shit my pants.
Yes, it certainly seems to be an interesting wave of sightings.
And check this out. The 3 lights are close to each other, then spread out into this triangle pattern. Now, look at the patterns side by side. This from Manhattan and the other tonight in El Paso. I gotta tell you, they do look eerily similar.
If it looks familiar, it should. Remember the Phoenix lights from the late 90s? Thousands saw the triangular glow in the night sky. The military said they were flares. Many are still skeptical.
Could these lights have been flares dropped from planes, which some say explains the Phoenix phenomenon? Well, flares fall from the sky, and these did not, as you saw, so the mystery continues.
There's no way that's flares. My brother said it's flares. Now it just pops up out of nowhere.
Okay, in my opinion, there's no way it could be some type of flare. It had to be something other because, like I say, it was they stayed in one area, they didn't drift off, and they made very specific formations.
Just that they looked like very, in a formation, that they had a purpose.
Strange red lights, brighter than a star, moving slowly in a triangular shape closer and closer.
This triangle shape, that just looks kind of weird.
In perfect triangle form, that's when you're like, wow, what is this thing?
So when you say they were in formation, okay, we're watching some video now, I don't know if you could see it, but they kind of move apart and then they kind of come back together. What did you think when you saw this?
Extraterrestrials?
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
And I suspect that unless the Defense Department proves us otherwise, that it was probably some form of an alien spacecraft.
Skeptics say there must be a perfectly good explanation, one that doesn't involve little green men.
Could be an airplane making a turn.
Nigga, those is not airplanes.
Could be a meteor. We love meteors.
Wait a minute. It's not a shooting star because it's slowed down.
Could be sea monkeys, which are brine shrimp, shot in the right light and superimposed on the blue sky with the shaky thing.
I don't see how that would explain it exactly, but...
It's just quite a step to say there was a film with remarkable images on it. It's quite a step from there to say it was definitely a spacecraft from another civilization.
That's quite a step. You bet it's quite a step.
You know, any reasonable mind would have to say there's something fantastic going on here. The universe is vast because if you take, you know, the 200 billion suns just in this little Milky Way galaxy with planets evolving around them, and then you add that the 500 billion galaxies that are just like this one out there, it's so vast and it's inhabited, and there's beings that are thousands, millions, even billions of years ahead of us.
Hill believes the latest mystery lights over Lake Erie are from a higher power, a benevolent entity that for some reason is making more frequent visits to our area.
Does it scare you at all?
A little bit, but I mean, I'm a little optimistic. If it's something beneficial for us, then I am very excited, and who knows what it'll be.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why don't these aliens just show up for everyone to see? Go ahead, park your spaceship right in front of our 19 Action News studios here, and I will personally hand any little green man this microphone. Seriously, enough with the appearances on home video shot by a select few. Hill has an answer for that.
We couldn't have the outcome that I believe they intend, which is for us to become a galactic society and a peaceful society.
The way he sees it, the alien appearances are as beautiful as they are peaceful. And a sudden visit would be as traumatic to us as 9/11, like a terrorist attack. But he says time will reveal all truth.
They will. They will.
What'd you think those red lights were?
Aliens?
Really?
And that it is time that world governments officially acknowledge.
Another strange sighting has a lot of people talking in Arizona. It's not the first time mysterious lights have been spotted hovering the night sky there, but this time we have pictures. And joining us now is iReporter Brad Drenning, who witnessed the whole thing and took some incredible pictures, and it's the most viewed video ever on our user-generated community website, ireport.com. Hi, Brad. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you. First off, thank you so much for taking the pictures and sharing them with us. I want you to tell us, how did it all go down? Just tell us about what happened last night.
My family and I were watching television last evening just after dinner. My son, David Drenning, one of his friends, Kyle, called and he said, hey, there's some lights outside. You need to go check them out. And we walked outside and we looked up, and it was just kind of, you know, total amazement. We looked at it for quite a while. I ran in. I'm a big CNN watcher. Ran in, I grabbed my camera, and we started filming, you know, right away. So it was just amazing. It's hard to even describe, you know, but they just sat there. They didn't move. They stayed in one position as far as in the same area. And then they just started making different formations. So it was very hard to explain, but very exciting all at the same time. And I think you can hear that from the video.
Right. We could hear your children talking in the background, too. Could you hear any types of noises coming from these lights?
We couldn't hear any noises. They were very far away. I mean, there was a plane in the video that you can see. There's a plane that it was probably 30 or 40,000 feet lower than what we were able to. The lights were way up there. I don't know how to explain that.
So when you say they were in formation, okay, we're watching some video now. I don't know if you could see it, but they kind of move apart and then they kind of come back together. What did you think when you saw this?
Well, like I say, at first they were in a straight line before we got the camera, and then they started moving into different formations. I've actually am working with some of your folks there in Atlanta right now. I'm downloading another almost 11 minutes of video from the same situation there. And they moved in different formations, trapezoid, square, kind of a W, and then it moved into a diamond. So it was very specific type formations, and then one by one they started to blink, and one would take off, and then, you know, very systematically, and then the fourth and final one stayed up there for about another 4 or 5 minutes on its own.
Well, of course, you probably heard the military came out today and said they had no type of aircraft in the area or were doing any exercises there. I'm sure you heard that. Have you lived in Phoenix very long?
We've been in Phoenix for about 8 years.
Okay, have you ever seen anything like this? Because, you know, a lot of people have said they have seen things such as this before.
I have never witnessed anything like this before. We've heard all the different, you know, situations and stories, if you will. But this was the first time we actually witnessed something of this nature.
Has anybody from the military tried to contact you to get your video and see what it is?
Actually, no. No one from the military has contacted me. There's been several different media outlets, if you will, that have been contacting me all morning. But nothing from the military as of yet.
Now, if you had to say what it is, would you say it's a UFO?
You know what? I know that, in my opinion...
That's a tough question. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. In my opinion, there's no way it could be some type of flare. It had to be something other because, like I say, it was... They stayed in one area, they didn't drift off, and they made very specific formations. So it was something that's very hard to explain. A UFO, you know,
right.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things you definitely have to see to believe, and
exactly.
That's what we're doing right now through your video, and we really appreciate you sharing that story with us. Again, Brad Drenning from Phoenix, Arizona, one of our iReporters, and hey, if you see anything else, please be sure to send it again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yesterday in this hour, we told you about the mysterious lights that keep appearing over Lake Erie near Cleveland. Here is some home video of the lights that neighbors in the area say are unlike aircraft or helicopters that fly there. And last night, for the 8th night in a row, they said these lights were back, appearing around 7:30 p.m. and lasting about 2 hours. NASA has a lab in Cleveland called the Glenn Research Center. They test rockets and various aircraft, but say they haven't done any testing this week. A Pentagon official told me the U.S. military has not been testing anything recently in that area. And the FAA acknowledges the light pattern seems different from commercial flight paths in the area. So what on earth is going on? Joining us is UFO expert Nick Pope from our London bureau. Nick ran the British government's UFO project at the Ministry of Defense. Nick, first of all, what do you make of what we're all hearing from Cleveland? 8 days, the lights seem to be similar, but they look unlike anything that people have ever seen.
Yes, it certainly seems to be an interesting wave of sightings, and it's always fascinating when you get activity like this over a period of different nights. I think my key question would be, and it's really a question for the Air Force and the FAA, has anyone checked the radar tapes to see if anything unusual was tracked?
Well, as a matter of fact, I spoke to officials at the FAA today. They checked in with Cleveland Air Traffic Control, and they don't have anything unusual, nothing unusual on the radar, no unusual reporting from any pilots. Is it possible that maybe this is some sort of a helicopter or rescue service from one of the Cleveland hospitals that people east of the city are looking at a little bit differently?
I wouldn't have thought so, and I've seen some of this footage myself, and what struck me about it was the way that it appeared to change color at some stage, and that's quite interesting. I mean, I think as ever, one would need to get hold of the original camera, the original film footage, and do some proper forensic analysis to get to the bottom of it. But it's certainly interesting, and as I say, the fact that it's come back over several nights and been seen by many different people makes it quite a significant sighting.
Well, and as far as the analysis of the film, we intend to do just that, and it's now several people. We're being told that because this has been happening night after night, people are now gathered on the beaches along Lake Erie near Euclid, Ohio, where this kid first saw it. And apparently, again, for 8 nights in a row, it happens about each night between 7 and 7:30 in the evening. The lights stay up for about 2 hours. Sometimes they dim, sometimes they get brighter, sometimes they move up, they move to one side, and then they eventually disappear. What do you make of it all?
Well, most UFO sightings do turn out to have conventional explanations. They can be lasers, searchlights, fireworks, the Chinese lanterns, which are quite popular, and people let these off at parties and barbecues and things like that. But I think what is interesting is that these days, of course, almost everyone has a cell phone with the capability to take photos and videos. So out of the tens of thousands of people who see UFOs each year, we're getting more and more of this interesting footage, so we're more likely to get to the bottom of these sorts of mysteries.
Well, we certainly hope to get to the bottom of this one. Nick Pope from London, thank you so much, Nick. We will keep you posted.
And that it is time that world governments officially acknowledge.
If you saw them last night, just about a half hour after midnight, you were not the only one. We received a number of emails today asking about them. Even got a call from a group in Claremont who captured the display on camera.
What the hell are those? Wait a minute. Whoa! Guys, everyone out here! Come here! Ryan, come look at this!
It's about midnight on the first day of 2008 when a string of 9 lights heading from east to west are spotted over San Diego.
There's a big commotion over in the corner we could tell something really exciting was going on.
Nat Coyle was among a group of college friends at a New Year's party in West Claremont.
I looked up at what they were looking at, and right then and there, I knew it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. So I had the camera on me, and I started to record.
They all moved uniformly in a uniform speed. They moved in an arc. They didn't move in a straight line. Like I said, we live with a couple guys who are astrophysics majors, and they're sitting there, running through the list of possible things, and we ran out of things before we could identify what it was.
Similar accounts have been coming to Fox 6 via email. Quote, they were very bright, almost an amber color. They were not jets, helicopters, or fireworks. There was no sound that we could hear or blinking as on an airplane. They were neither airplanes nor fireworks.
Those are the anti-nuclear missiles.
They were just much too bright and moving much too fast, and then disappearing over the horizon, like into the distance, not even disappearing, say, over the mountain or over the horizon, just disappearing into the distance. It was a little bizarre.
Spooky a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It looked like a group of helicopters to me, but people who saw them in person say that's not the case. Living in San Diego, we figure the most likely explanation, though, is military. Vandenberg Air Force Base says their last missile test was December 8th, and on this New Year's Day, we were unable to get through to Miramar. Now, if you think you know what those lights in the sky were last night, send us an email, let us know, newstips@fox6.com.
Mexican Air Force has released a video that some of you are going to find difficult to believe. A journalist says it shows images of UFOs tracking a Mexican military plane. He says Mexico's defense secretary gave him the video, which was allegedly taken by the pilot during a patrol. The pilot says up to 16 lights were tracking his aircraft. The Mexican defense secretary says images like these have never been released to the public by the armed forces of any country.
What the fuck?
What the hell is that?
What in the world is this?
I have no idea what the hell that is, and I'm about to shit my pants.
Yes, it certainly seems to be an interesting wave of sightings.
And check this out. The three lights are close to each other, then spread out into this triangle pattern. Now, look at the patterns side by side. This from Manhattan and the other tonight in El Paso. I gotta tell you, they do look eerily similar.
If it looks familiar, it should.
Strange lights over the skies of San Diego.
Strange lights over Lake Erie.
Over Phoenix, Arizona. A group of unidentified flying objects in the sky over Manhattan.
UFOs were kind of flying over Chicago.
This is just a great mystery. What is this in the East Texas sky?
The same orbs have been spotted in London, Mexico, Canada, California, and Texas.
So this is something that's in the sky that people do not know what it is.
On 7 News at 5:30, a strange sighting above Boulder County a week ago. 3 lights in the night sky. The folks who saw them are asking.
Remember the Phoenix lights from the late 90s? Thousands saw the triangular glow in the night sky. The military said they were flares. Many are still skeptical.
Could these lights have been flares dropped from planes, which some say explains the Phoenix phenomenon? Well, flares fall from the sky, and these did not, as you saw, so the mystery continues.
There's no way that's flares. My brother said it's flares. Now it just pops up out of nowhere.
Okay, in my opinion, there's no way it could be some type of flare. It had to be something other because...
I happened to look up into the nighttime skies over the weekend. Did you see anything strange? Many of our viewers did. Some even caught the glowing orbs on tape.
Glowing orbs flowing high in the air.
Thousands of people saw these 4 mysterious lights in the sky outside Phoenix Monday night.
It's a UFO.
The United States Air Force said it could not identify them. Air traffic controllers from 2 different airports say they saw the lights, but they definitely were not from any of their airplanes.
Above the skies of Northeast and East El Paso tonight, a sight that was a little more than stunning. This is what one of our photographers, Ram Moreno, caught on video. One solitary light that appears to be falling in the sky. But that light suddenly breaks apart into 2, then 3 separate lights. Those lights then just freeze in the air and begin to hover.
This is the weird, unsettling sight Paul, a longtime pilot, captured on tape. Mysterious red lights in a diagonal formation just hovering above his yard in Whippany.